I'm planting out cosmos. I've been holding on for quite a long time to plant it out, and it's now the end of May. It's been really cold. We've had quite a dry May, but we've had cold easterly winds, and it even had a little touch of frost in the middle of May, which is really, really rare. So these heat lovers are now going in, now we've reached the end of May. I'm planting everything out with a little sprinkling of chicken manure pellets, because I find that that really gives it a boost, especially as I grew everything organically. I'm planting out quite a few different varieties to give us a real range of colours. This one is Cosmos Purity, which is this fabulous, large, very simple white cosmos, probably the biggest sort of dinner plate size cosmos that you can actually get. Really, really beautiful. We've also got some cosmos in cranberry colour. We've got apricotta, which is a really beautiful kind of peachy colour. We've got apricot lemonade, which is kind of a yellowy peachy colour. So many different colours going in, and these are really popular for our weddings and also for our summer pick your owns. I absolutely love cosmos, and it's one of the easiest cut flowers to grow. I always recommend it as something that people who have never grown cut flowers before have a go at doing, because just a couple of plants can give you so many flowers to enjoy in the house. And inevitably I've run out of room, so I've got quite a few plants still to get into the ground and no space left in this bed to plant them out. So I'm going to have a little walk around the cutting garden and see if I've got a spot where I can plant out another few cosmos plants. There's a little spot here between this lemon balm and those orchid plants. So I think I can squeeze in the last few plants there. It's not too far away from the cosmos, which is behind me. So yeah, I'm going to go for that. Well, I filled this gap and I still haven't got all of the cosmos in. I do, believe it or not, usually plan my flower beds, but this year there was just a little bit too many varieties of cosmos that I wanted to grow, and I got greedy. So hence I'm trying to squeeze them in. But I do need some cosmos down in the cottage garden, so that's where these are going to end up this summer. There's lots I want to show you in the cut flower garden, so I'm going to tidy up this and then I'm going to show you what's happening out here in the cutting garden. So the cutting garden is actually finally starting to look like something is happening. Just like with vegetable gardening, cut flower gardening, you get that May gap, the hungry gap it's called in the vegetable garden. I don't know if there is such a word or phrase for the cut flower garden, but there is a gap when things like the tulips and the daffodils have finished, but the summer flowers are yet to really get going. And that's where the polytunnel comes in really handy, because if we do manage to bring flowers on a little bit quicker in there. But out here in the cut flower garden, now we're at the very end of May, it's finally starting to look fuller of colour, and there's a more variety of flowers, and things grow practically a foot a day in this sort of warmer weather that we're finally starting to get. Okay, so let's start right down at the bottom in the dahlia beds. So I wasn't sure whether or not these dahlias were going to survive the wet winter we've had. It has been the wettest winter that I can remember for many a year. And a lot of these tubers I was afraid might have rotted out, but it does seem that they are coming back, which is really exciting. I don't think all of them are coming back, but some of them are. They're slow to get going though, because it's been so cold for so long. They are really struggling to get going. I did sow some seeds, so I'm going to have some seed sown dahlias growing this year, which will be really lovely to have those. They're nowhere near as exciting as the tuber grown dahlias, but they'll be great. They give flowers a little bit like cosmos, so they're very open, brilliant for pollinators, and they work really well as a cut flower for things like pick your own, just adding a bit of joy to a vase. I've still got to plant out some tuber dahlias in here, so I bought some more tubers and I've been bringing those on into pots in the polytunnel, and they're now ready to go into the ground. So I'm hoping to get those out in the next couple of days now that the weather has started to warm up. So we should fill in the gaps in the dahlia beds, and hopefully we're going to have a really great crop of dahlias in about 6 to 8 weeks' time. I want to show you the roses next because they are looking beautiful. So the David Austin roses that I grow are really just starting to flower now. This heat that we've had in the last 24 hours has brought on so many of the roses, which is lovely. I haven't actually struggled too much with aphids this year, which is unheard of. Normally I have to use a soapy water solution, but I've just managed to go past and pinch off any aphids that I find, and that seems to have kind of kept them at bay. We've not had the huge infestation that I so often get. So lots of things kind of still ticking away here. The sweet peas, I've got some sweet peas in the polytunnel which are flowering for me now, which is lovely. The outdoor ones are like everything else, they're a little bit behind where I'd normally expect them to be because it's been cold, but they are slowly getting there. I've got a combination of perennial sweet peas, so these are all perennial ones on this side. On the other side they're annuals. So the perennial ones are getting going a little bit quicker because they are a bit more established with their roots. Lots of California poppies here. They are all self-sown. You can just see them in here. These are all self-sown Californian poppies. And I grow lots of the Thai silk variety. So they're really delicate, papery thin, silk-like petals, and they open up with the sunshine and then they close at the end of the day, or if we have wet weather, they close. These are really lovely, delicate flowers, and there's a trick to cutting them. You need to cut them before the bee gets in there, and then they'll last for a really long time in the vase. And if you can, pick them whilst they have these lovely little hats still on that are ready to pop off. You can slide that off and you know that no bee has been inside there to pollinate this flower, and that's going to last for a really long time for you in the vase. So this is Ammi Majus, and you can see it's about the same height as me. I will show you the Ammi Majus that was planted at the same time in the polytunnel, and you can see the difference between polytunnel grown flowers and field grown flowers. both given exactly the same conditions. They were sown on the same day, just happened to be outside or inside. I've got a bed of perennial scabious here, which is really, really lovely. These are like pincushions dancing on delicate stems. These are a really lovely perennial cut flower. I absolutely love them, and they're a real favourite with the bees. My Aquilegia has done brilliantly again this spring. I think it seems to really like the dry springs that we've had last year and this year. But I definitely need to sow some more. I tend to find that they get cross-pollinated, and even though they're a perennial, they don't always come back with as much vigour as the first year that they flowered. They are such a valuable flower for filling in that May gap. So I definitely need to make sure that I've got more Aquilegia next year. So I will be sowing some more in a few weeks' time, planting them out in the autumn so I get a lovely big crop of this beautiful flower. Sweet Rocket continues to be a firm favourite, always beautifully scented. And down here I've got the biennial stock Pillow Talk, which I've grown outside for the first time ever. I normally grow it in the polytunnel, and to be honest, it's not been that great out here. It's been affected a lot by pollen beetle, and all of the petals have got little tiny holes in, little pinprick size holes in, and I can't use them. So I don't think that I'm going to be having it outside again. But it was a good experiment, and I've got behind me also some of this beautiful perennial. This is Celine, and this really gets going at about now, the end of May. It's a wildflower that you find all along the Cornish coast, and I absolutely love it for its little delicate white bobbing flowers. So I've got a nice big patch of Astrantia here, which is its second year, and it's really putting on quite a lot of lovely flower stems. Again, this is really only just starting to get going now. It's the end of May, so I wouldn't say it's a brilliant cut flower for that May gap. Calendula, which I grow a variety called Snow Princess, which is a nice soft calendula, which can often be a really kind of very vibrant orange, which doesn't always work well in a vase, but this soft Snow Princess variety of calendula is lovely. We've got beds of herbs here, so I've got mint and oregano, there's lemon balm, and they've been doing really well. This is the bed of cosmos, which I've just planted out, and we've got two beds here which are just starting to flower. So we've got some lovely Phacelia here, which is this wildflower that you quite often get planted by farmers for a green manure, and it's got this fuzzy purple flower, which is lovely. This is all seeds that I saved last year, and I shared the seed saving with you last year. And I've also got the lovely Oxeye Daisy, which I absolutely love. Again, it's a perennial, it's a wildflower, and that's really, really popular with so many of my wedding customers and pick your own customers. They just love the wildflowers. We've got a brilliant bed of echinops here, which this will all be a sea of blue within a matter of weeks, and the bees love the echinops. Lovely thistle-like flowers, lovely, lovely plants. And finally up here we've got some phlox, which I planted out and then it turned really cold, so it's gone a little bit yellow. It's not particularly happy, but I think it's going to pick up. And there's also some florist's dill, which is dill that is specifically bred for putting into cut flower arrangements. And there are some cornflowers as well. So a really lovely mix of kind of really wild looking things in these beds. So I just want to come out of the cut flower garden and pop into the foliage and woody perennial section over here and show you how lovely some of the blossom is looking. So the Viburnum opulus rosum, which is the snowball bush, is just about finished, and you can see how beautiful this did look, and it's now producing all of this snow on the ground. I love the confetti that these flowers produce. It really does produce snow in May. It's been an absolute joy having this viburnum this year. It just has been so pretty. And of course, the viburnums turn the most fabulous shade of cerise leaf in the autumn, which is really, really lovely. This is a bonus of these beautiful viburnums, of these fabulous flowers in the spring, and then in the autumn we get this beautiful autumnal colour in the leaf. So I absolutely love my viburnums. So these are my 9 bark plants, and they are just starting to come into blossom. They have the most amazing pinky colour blossom, and with this real aubergine foliage. They're very, very dramatic, really elegant plant, and I absolutely love them. And before we leave this section, let me just show you the regrowth on these eucalyptus trees that I pollarded in March. You'll notice that I haven't put the cuttings through the chipper yet. They're all still lying here on the ground, but we've got loads of regrowth for the crop that I will be harvesting this autumn and winter, which is really exciting. So I've left the cutting garden now, but there are a few things that I want to share with you out here. So we've got these amazing cardoons, which I think they're about 2.5 meters tall, and they've not even started flowering yet. These are looking really fantastic, and I love using these in arrangements for a real sort of sculptural, architectural look with these beautiful silvery jagged leaves. But over here, this is what I really want to show you. These are these amazing iris, which I saw last year at the Chelsea Flower Show, and I decided I absolutely had to have. It's got this fantastic kind of aubergine colour, which you can't really find at this time of year, and I love the fact that iris come back year on year, and it looks to be really, really happy where I've planted it here amongst my spring beds. The nigella, which was sown 5 years ago and never been sown since, keeps on coming back. It reseeds itself all over these spring beds, which gives us a lovely blue mist through here. In a few weeks' time, they're just about ready to start popping open now, but within a couple of weeks, this is going to just be a sea of blue and look really, really pretty. And one of the flowers that's been brilliant at bridging the gap in the cut flower garden has been Camassia. We started off with the blue Camassia at the very start of May, and they faded, and we've been replaced with the white Camassia, which has come through a little bit later. These are just about finishing now, and they have been a bit bashed about by the wind. I probably should have staked them, but they have been really, really useful, especially providing really tall, long, spike-like stems for things like pedestals and large vase arrangements. I've absolutely loved having the Camassia, and they are really essential to my cutting garden at this time of year. So this is Spirea, and to the untrained eye you might think that it is a hawthorn, but it's not, and it has the most beautiful, delicate flowers. This one is called Snow Mound, and you can see why. All the flowers sit on the top of the stems. It's really, really beautiful for putting any floral arrangements, and I love using it for bridal bouquets as a base for a lot of the bouquets that I make. Okay, let's take a look at the polytunnel, which is probably the most exciting in terms of flowers right now. So you may remember that I use the polytunnel a bit like an extension to the garden. So I sow things in the autumn, and so that they come on a little bit earlier in here where they've been protected through the winter months. So I normally have about 4 weeks earlier blooming in the polytunnel to what I have out in the field. We had a crop of earlier spring flowers, so ranunculus was in here and wallflowers. They've all been pulled out now, and I've planted other things in their place which will flower towards the middle of June and July, August. So we're in a bit of a stage of kind of a flip stage where there are some gaps where things are still coming through, but the things that I planted in the autumn, they're now flowering away really beautifully and giving me those valuable stems which have filled that May gap for me. So let's go and take a look. So we've got some lovely colibri poppies behind me. These were all sown in the autumn and have been flowering for at least 6 weeks. Loads of stems on those. And I've done another succession which were sown between Christmas and New Year, and they've only just started flowering this week. So hopefully they'll give me a really long crop of colibri poppies right the way through until the end of June. There's also a really lovely patch here of flowers that were self-seeded throughout the polytunnel, and I dug them up and I put them all here. So we've got a lovely range of things. I've got some clary sage, there's calendula, cornflowers, lavaterra, larkspur, all sorts of things that have just liberally self-seeded through the polytunnel, and I've collated them all together and put them here. Plants for free. They're obviously very happy, want to grow, and they have started flowering for me already. So they're a lovely little bonus. Okay, so other things that are happening in here, I've got gypsophilia. I admit that I don't really like gypsophilia, but I have so many wedding customers asking for gypsophilia. I don't grow the really sort of typical gypsophilia that you find in a supermarket with those very tight small flowers. I grow a variety called Covent Garden, which is much more delicate, and you can really see these little flowers dancing as if they're being held up only by the thinnest thread of a stem. They're very, very delicate and very pretty. So we've got Gypsophilia Covent Garden, which I'm actually growing in here for the first time. I've only ever tried to grow it outside and it got terribly eaten by slugs and snails. So I've got a crop in here and it's actually doing really well. So I'm really pleased with that. I've got some Sweet William in here, very, very bright, fabulous scented pelargoniums, which have the most incredible scented leaves. I've got the chocolate mint variety, and I've also got the rose lemon scented pelargonium. Then up here we've got the sweet peas. So I've got sweet peas outside and sweet peas inside, and the indoor sweet peas are flowering away. These have been flowering for about 2 weeks now, and they're really just starting to get going. I need to tie them in so that they don't flop all over the place, and their feet are really well shaded with all of those plants that I packed in, the self-seeded things that were all packed into the lavaterra. That's all producing lots of shade down at the feet of these sweet peas, which is making them feel a little bit cooler and a little bit happier in these polytunnel scenario. There are a couple of trays of these beautiful violas and pansies which go into my box flower heads boxes, and they go on cake flowers, and they also make really pretty little posies if you want a really small short posy. And because I plant them really tightly together, they actually produce quite a good stem length. So that's the tunnel, and there's lots happening in here. It is starting to get very, very hot in here though, so I'm going to head on out. And there's one last thing that I really want to share with you. It's not happening as a cut flower, but it's really special and I want to share it with you. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. I have to come down here. So these here are our native purple orchids, and we've been working really hard to make sure these establish themselves here in the Wild Flower Meadow, and it's working. When we first took over the garden in 2017, we found one orchid and we cherished it and hoped that it might set seed and spread, and it has. We've now got lots. They are really quickly starting to establish themselves. In the same way as the bluebells will spread, these orchids will also spread if they're given the right conditions and the opportunity to do so. Well, that concludes our garden tour for this time, and I'm really glad that you came and joined me on this walk around the cutting garden in May, where we looked at the things that I've been using to fill the May gap. June is an exciting time in the cut flower garden where there is an abundance of flowers, and I will try and capture as much as possible for you and welcome you back soon. I'll see you then. Bye.